What's going on, everybody? It's just Chuck Creekmur, aka Jigsaw, and we are here with Pete Monsanto, a DJ out of New York City. And Pete, he posted something very, very interesting to me, and it dealt with a lot of things, particularly surrounding the rise of DJ D Nice. The D Nice effect is what Pete calls it. So, Pete, first of all, tell people a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you come from, and then let's get into this D Nice effect and all the surrounding pieces of it.
All right, so I'm an old man in the ages of what we would say New York street culture. They would call us old goats. I'm 39, and my introduction to the music is obviously has been forever. Come from the 80s, so I'm an 80s baby. Originally raised in the school of Biggie, Mobb Deep, and 90s drug raps. So I've seen all stages of the hip hop where it was like super gold to, kind of trended it is. It's the biggest genre now. It's not really rock and roll anymore. It's hip hop. I'm a live music photographer and videographer when I'm not behind the turntables. And that was an anchor of my business that started in 2010. Okay. I started to go to the turntables in 2016, and then I enrolled in Scratch DJ Academy. I'm a graduate of that. Shout out to them. And I just took everything I knew about the music. And my brothers they used to breakdance in Soundview, so like hip hop was a super anchor in the house, and it was easy. It wasn't really just like I want to be a DJ now. I kind of just went wherever the art form was taking me, and I was already embedded in the music. I mean, I would run into US shows sometimes, and even some of my photos would end up in your hands. So all hip hop, you know what I mean? Like those were times that we could have conversations. But the art for me just grew. It ended up in music, and I'm here, and I just love everything that I do.
I want to say, man, you are a great photographer too, and a great creative.
Thank you.
I always appreciate that about you. So I just wanted to say that, I never photography didn't disappear. So
no, there's cameras all over. If I tilt the computer even slightly to the left, you'll see there's a camera right behind me. So there's always a camera nearby.
Dope. Now I want to talk right in. I want to get right because this D Nice effect is what's kind of jumps the whole conversation. Tell me and the audience what the D Nice effect is and what is sort of the after effects of it.
Okay, so it's something that is, I would say, a reinvention, right, of how we're accepting information. And the D Nice effect, and shout out to Daytwan for writing the original piece on Vibe magazine that kind of lifted and helped us all, really, right? We're all stuck in the house. We need to consume art now. And I've been talking to a lot of my art friends. The only thing left, we don't have sports right now. So it's music, movies, publications. So using social media, because we experience time we have to socially distance ourselves, music festivals are out. How can you take in the same musical experience and be with your community, your tribe? It's going to be on social media. So he gets on Instagram Live and he starts playing records. And at first it started with just 200 people, whoever was following him, friends and family. Like I'm obviously, he's one of my homies. So I was tuned in, and it grew because he is a high profile DJ. He does do a lot of high end clientele. So it wasn't like people didn't know who he was. They did. It was about the impact, and I would say almost the crash of social media and community all in one, and then the music. So then it creates this whole other thing. So in the video I posted on my Instagram TV channel, and I also sent that to you just to get your opinion on it, the word that I used was transcending. Like I didn't really want to coin it and just say it was like this entire D Nice effect. It was really more what he did transcended the way we are receiving information and how we're going to accept this music. if you look at what has happened in society from all of the time that you've been a journalist and been doing this, the radio used to be able to go to towns. Like, for example, I would go to Philly and know that I would hear Roots records in constant rotation on the radio.
Right.
I don't recall really hearing Roots records, not the first album, in constant rotation in the New York area, unless you're talking about Things Fall Apart, when they became mainstream with Joe Scott. So the program directors now for radio are selecting the same 30, 40 songs, and we're starting to hear that in a loop. So what happened to the power of the DJ? And I come from a time when A&Rs, like, if you go back to mixtape culture in New York, it's doo-wop, it's Clue, it's Ron G, it's SNS. These were the guys that picked the songs that were what you were going to hear next. The radio went to the mixtape culture, to the DJ culture, to see what they were going to put on the radio, because this is what they're listening to in the streets, and this is what they want to hear on the air, and this is what we could sell ads on. Now we don't have a mixtape culture anymore, barely. It's gone. Club culture is kind of like selected on who's who. So he puts on this show on Instagram Live, and not only is he playing classic songs, he's also dipping and dabbling and playing new songs. So there are people in there. I can't even remember. Don't quote me on how many. I think he absolutely hit 200K. I was there that night.
Okay.
But if you think about the amount of people that were experiencing classic songs as well as new hip hop, it really broadened the community. Now put all of those bodies in a stadium. 200,000 people. There actually isn't a venue big enough to hold that.
Right. Yeah.
So now it's like a shift on how we're taking in the music and the DJ culture. The Instagram Live feature is not a new one. I have been working on a workaround for the longest, not via computer, but on how we could break through. There's tons of DJs that have been going on Instagram Live before this point. And you'll hear Nice say, I didn't really invent it, but you know, I used the platform to just unite people through the music. So I just felt like it kind of breaks the stained glass window on, hey, there's guys out here that are trying to use the music for the healing at a time when we all need it.
Now, we've noted that there may be some changes with Instagram. So when All Hip Hop went to do a live with a DJ, really about a week after transcending, we ran into some difficulty. You know, our stream kept being disrupted. It kept breaking up. We couldn't really quite figure it out. And then it seems like the certain powers that be were disrupting that. And I don't mean that in some kind of weird clandestine way.
No.
Some of the songs.
Well, I don't think we need to be clandestine. I mean, we may as well just need to say what it is, and I can break it all down for you. So now, again, back to the way we accept information. You know, we have these DSPs. These are the digital streaming platforms, which could be your titles, your Bandcamps, your SoundClouds, your Apple Music, Amazon, whoever, right? Even YouTube Music. And all music and all content, audio, video, is processed through a system that's owned by Google, and it's called the Content ID system. So what ends up happening is you record an album, right? And let's say you were on, let's go Legacy, Rockefeller Records, right? So they take your first album, they send it to Google. Google does all of the analytics. They analyze all of your audio, all of your music videos.
Right.
And anytime that there's a content match on any platform, whether it be social media or the internet, they cut the stream.
Gotcha.
And the reason for cutting the stream is the label owns the rights to the content, so they feel that they should get paid. Now, as a DJ, I'm not against that.
Right.
Most of the records I play, I support all the artists. I paid for the music. And if it was up to me, that if Instagram said, okay, you have to put a disclaimer that you don't own the content in order for you to spin the music, I would have no problem playing the music and And that would be, I pretty much do whatever. And I think most DJs, when they respect the music that they're playing, they're not really looking for a payday. But because now we have this streaming situation, it kind of makes it a different argument. Because now legalities of the labels is, okay, D-Nice has 200,000 people in here. Michelle Obama was in here. Mm-hmm. Netflix was in here. All of these big branded companies were in here.
Right.
We need to be making our bank for all the music that he's playing because it's our content that he's using to draw this crowd, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool. If you call D-Nice right now and ask him, do you feel like you need to get paid for the music that you, he would tell you a flat no. Because it was never really about the money, it was about the people and about uniting the people. Now, this doesn't mean that the labels can't get paid. I do absolutely think that there's a culture that can be worked, but why shouldn't it be a way for DJs to be able to play music and do what they do as an art form and not really be disrupted?
Yeah.
If the content ID obviously can tell you when the song is being played, then it's got to be a way where that stream can go to the artist. But the caveat to it is it just DJs playing the music? Now, obviously, we know culture-wise, this big influencer boom. I'm an influencer outside of everything, in addition to photography and DJing, right? And sometimes you have this branded content that a company may come to me for, and if I decide that in my video, I want to use a K-Tronada song that is owned by a label, now it's being used for commercial purposes. So now we're talking about a different streaming revenue. Now it's the company that I'm sponsored by needs to pay and Instagram needs to pay. But they know how this all works, and I think they can narrow down who they should be able to give rights to, and there should be some middle ground where everybody can get paid and the people can get the content.
This is a different shift in terms of hip hop, as everyone should know by now. Or if not, you know that hip hop started out in the park or in the Bronx, and we would plug into the light pole or whatever and do it by any means. Now it seems like the quote unquote powers that be, the labels, whoever, are really jumping on quickly in a way like we've never seen before. To, it's not, I wouldn't say disrupt, because obviously we want everybody to get their money, but in the era of streaming, it does seem like the artist is the least paid, the least beneficiary, in this process. I don't know each breakdown, but I do know Ice-T said to me infamously in an interview, he doesn't know a pimp that can break down a penny. And some of the streaming services are paying, less than a penny per stream, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about the D-Nice effect, will this impact in a negative way in some form? Like I said, we tried to do an homage to Dr. Dre, and it didn't go very well.
Well, here's what I feel like is going to happen, and this is totally my own opinion, but there are some facts behind it. Do you remember the last time the music industry tried to go up against technology?
Napster, maybe.
Okay. It was the invention of the MP3, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
How did that go for them?
It didn't go well at first. No, not well at all.
It didn't go well at all because you can't really fight the progression of what the technology is, right? Mm-hmm. So Instagram is shutting everybody's streams down.
Yep.
There's going to be a platform. There actually is already several where if I want to do my set, I could do my set and be uninterrupted for hours on end.
Yeah.
And the people are going to go to that. Right. Somebody's always going to make a platform. And when you get to the legalities of it, you got to go through the court orders. You got to organize the lawyers. You got to pay a bunch of money. You got to do this, 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 and this, and this, right? Mm-hmm. It's not really worth it to try to go against the technology. Right. The internet is so fast that I could turn on any one of my high definition cameras behind me and I can have a live stream and I can do my own radio show on whatever platform is if I have the following, and I can create my own lane, right?
Right.
So if they decide that they're going to go against this, by all means, have at it. What you're going to see is artists really not seeing the necessary need to even be with a label. Yeah. You would think that it would be alarming to them what Chance the Rapper did at the Grammys with literally no backing. that the labels will kind of go, wait a minute. So this guy goes in. How many did he win that year, Chuck? I can't remember. I think it was 3.
It was enough.
Right. It was enough that they were on notice to say, all right, artists can go in, sit down in meetings and negotiate their own deals. And he negotiated his own deal through a DSP. It was through Apple Music, and he owned all of his content, right? So now we're all stuck at home. Reference point. Did you happen to catch Erykah Badu's show a couple days ago?
I didn't see it, man. It's so many lives that I actually missed it, which is crazy. I feel like a fake fan, but no, I didn't.
Okay. She sets up sound stages, and what I am led to believe is either property she owns or her house. I believe she said it was her home, so I have no reason to think it's a lie, but she charged $2.
Right.
$2, and everybody comes in there.
Yeah.
The video content was highly produced with cameras that she was able to attain herself, lighting, audio, all of these things. And she did it on her own platform for $2.
Yeah.
If a quarter of the people show up that showed up in the D Nice feed, that's $100,000. Why does anyone need a label at this point? Why? What incentive do you have to go sign?
The only incentive would be to get a quick bag up front, which a lot of the artists continue to do. You know, I think, in my opinion, you know, the unfortunate reality is a lot of people are not built to be an entrepreneur or a business person. And ultimately, when you look at yourself as a business, it's a long game. You know, some people are here for the short term or the quick bag.
Right.
So that's the question why I think people keep signing to labels. You look at artists like, you know, like Chance you mentioned, but there's a lot. You know, Russ.
There's quite a few.
I think Russ has signed, but it took a while. You know, he was indie for a long time, which means they dropped a huge amount of money on him for him not to be independent.
Exactly. But that's where that's where you're going to get all your leverage. But if you think about the way everyone is, again, back to getting their content, the Roots just put out a lineup that they're doing on Twitch and YouTube. And they negotiated their own deal and went and got their own sponsorship.
Yeah, amazing.
So artists are thinking of ways to still get the music to the people and not necessarily need a big company. Now, there's one thing I left out about a content ID that I probably should have told you.
Okay.
You only can have use of the content ID if you're a major company.
What? Now what? Oh, come on, dog. That's
so when I did the reading on it, right? I'm looking and I'm like, wait a minute. So if I start my YouTube page and I submit all of if I'm making beats to YouTube, I can't submit it to the content ID database unless I'm a major company. Who does that give the leverage to?
That's the labels.
The labels, because now if somebody wants to use one of my videos on a commercial scale, right, I can't have that flagged so I can get my money. So you got people that are lobbying and going up there saying, yo, YouTube cut us in and do all of this stuff. Now, I don't remember if he's still the executive, but the last time I checked, Leo Cohen was running YouTube music.
Right.
That is not by coincidence.
Right.
Okay. So it is, everybody's fighting for territory, especially since now everybody is at home because it's all you have is YouTube and Netflix and Hulu and wherever you're going to get your content from. So we're thinking of original ways to do it.
What about, are there any third parties that can help facilitate a large company that would help facilitate getting you, getting your music identified in that way?
Well, SoundCloud does a good job.
Okay.
SoundCloud does a good job there, but it's a place where I go to find new talent, SoundCloud and Bandcamp. So, there's like independent publishing ways that you could do things. I'm hearing Audible Magic is another way to do it. So you can go with ways to get out there, but when you talk about that large scale of uploading your content, so it can't be used or played anywhere, they really reserve that right for the large companies. And it's if they fight this, it's going to be a long fight, and I don't think they're going to win. I would almost tell them, you could sit down with Zuckerberg or whoever. Let's say the issues with Zuckerberg today because Instagram Live, and say, okay, we need to get our streams. We're not even going to hate on you. If the DJs want to do their thing, they could do their thing. But we are going to hold you responsible for policing and saying we're going to give you some way, shape, or form that you can have this little pocket for the DJs to do their thing. But when they play these songs, we want to get our streams. I don't think Instagram is going to stand in the middle and say, nah, we can't take your money. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's not like it's attached to any kind of ad or anything. The issue is, and the issue has always been, even if you come from the recording artist aspect, is that the record labels, they want a piece of everything. They're not even trying to give up the wiggle room to say, yo, as long as I get my streams, you could do whatever. Because let's say, I'm D Nice, for example, right? And then he gets a sponsorship deal and says my Instagram Live is sponsored by blah, 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 and they cut him a check. Mm-hmm. The label's going to say, oh, well, they need to pay us too. Right. Instead of just saying, nah, we're grateful for D Nice playing these songs because people are now asking what songs these are, and this is raising the sales and the streams of the songs. Because just because he played it one time, they're not going to continuously listen to D Nice. They're going to go and download the song and add it to their phone and oftentimes purchase it. Right. So if you can't see the power of the DJ and how it's empowering people with the ability to go find the music and buy it, you're just completely out of touch. And I don't know, I can't speak to where that even came from, to be honest.
I feel like we're all trapped in a Star Wars movie. We're fighting like the forces of evil, and we have to, we're the rebel force. There's a whole dark side that we have to go against in perpetuity. It's a never-ending battle. Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of battles, DJ culture, from a D Nice standpoint, one thing, but then there's another side where we have these battles where
sound clash.
Talk about it a little bit.
The sound clash culture is not new.
Right.
I don't know if you have any West Indian family. I'm from the Bronx. I live in the Bronx now. I grew up in Mount Vernon, but I'm surrounded by my West Indian friends who are more notably Jamaican. Right. And when you talk about sound clash culture, that belongs to them. 100%.
Absolutely.
So it's all about battling sound systems, battling artists, battling beats, whatever have you, right? So now we're all stuck at home, and Swiss and Timbaland were already talking about the smoke and battling each other with the beats and creating this discussion and argument around creating and who has better production. So I think it was a brilliant idea right on the heels of everything that was happening with D Nice that we still keep it about the music, but let's take these artists and do sound clashes, right? Brilliant. Think about how it brought the people together. Now, the other side of that, if you look at the business wing, and this is where we get to the transcending, right? I don't know any of this, by the way, any of this personal business.
Okay.
But it made sense to me. Why would Netflix be watching a D Nice DJ feed?
Right. Well, why would they? Right.
Okay.
They peeping it.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of value does it have to them to say this same 200,000 people could be watching this on our platform?
Absolutely.
Right? Now we got the sound clashes, which make complete sense. Same amount of views.
Yep.
How does this make sense as far as the music to other platforms? If I'm somebody at Netflix or at Hulu or at Amazon, I'm already in my bag like, wait a minute. This is something. People are obviously tuning in, right? Just this week, we realized it now has a name. It's called the Versus series, right? VERZUZ.
Is that what Swiss has called it?
Yeah, Swiss and Tim were calling it Versus.
Okay.
And I believe it was after. Was it after or was it before? It was T-Pain and Little John, and I think after that it had a name. They started branding it and everything else. If any platform is smart, they have to look at not like, yo, we need to get our streams. Look at what music is doing generally and capitalize on the music. Stop trying to nickel and dime and make sure you get every single coin. Nobody's really trying to rip the artist off. If you went to artists and said every time D-Nice was going to spin a song, or if I'm going to spin a song, right? And let's say I'm playing some Wu-Tang, and they said Wu-Tang gets their stream money. Wu-Tang is more than happy for me to play their albums up and down. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to care. Everybody can get cut and everybody can make their money, but it just has to be fair. It just has to be fair. The sound clash culture, I sit here on the weekend, we put the baby to sleep, we open up champagne, and we watch these battles.
Yeah.
Because it's about the music.
Right.
It's about the music. And if everybody just kind of sits back, and I'm talking about DJs and everybody that's involved with the music and looks at what the technology is doing, it is a major win for everybody.
True. Yeah. It gets a little crowded though. I got to admit, there's a live going on every second. And I kind of clocked out, man. I was there for D-Nice, and then there was another DJ. Lord Finesse, I got in there, and then Best Love, and I was there, but it was just like too deep. So I definitely checked out T-Pain. I definitely checked out Manny Fresh and Scott Storch, which was like kind of epic. And that was in a boxing forum. As everyone knows, I'm a big boxing fan. That was a styles make fights type of battle because Manny seemed like he lost, but it was definitely Scott Storch has big hit records, and Manny has those records that's more hip hop. You know what I mean? So it's just I guess my opinion is it's being done to death. Now I know that I know that Swiss and are probably cooking up some real magic right now on a business level, without question. As is D-Nice, you already see, but the battle is so integral. Shout out to Kool Herc, by the way, who is the godfather of all of this.
It's so funny. I was having this conversation maybe a month ago. Kool Herc brought this over here. Kool Herc is Jamaican. I found this out. Like,
you know that, man.
Right. I didn't know he was Jamaican. I did not know he was Jamaican. And one of my guys, one of my DJ homies, actually one of my mentors, was sitting down and having the conversation. He's like, "Did you know Kool Herc was Jamaican?" And I'm like, "Huh?" He's like, "Yes, he's Jamaican." So the sound system and the sound clash, he brought all of that here to the Bronx and everywhere else. So it's like it's going in places where I think the powers that be didn't expect it to go, because I'm going to hand Tidal this, I'm going to hand Apple this, satellite radio gets this, traditional radio gets this. This is what we're saying is good. This is what's the new. That's it. Yeah. For the people to take control, use the social media at a time of social distancing and dictate what they want to hear says a lot about the music. Right. Says a lot about the music.
Yeah, well, we're jumping in. As you can see, we're on a new platform right now to do these interviews. Normally, we would be in One World Studios or something of that nature, live on the scene. So we're appreciative of the changes in technology because it forces you to do things you might not have done. Actually, in some instances, forces you to be more efficient.
Right.
So, I definitely appreciate it, man. I'm an introvert at heart, even though a lot of people don't believe that now. So I'm actually happy to be chilling. I'm quarantined 4 weeks and counting. And you see the smile?
You have no problem.
No problems.
Yeah. It'd be nice if they had some fights on, but
Right. Yeah. Hey, man, like I was saying earlier in our conversation before the broadcast, I got a few fights that I missed from being out in the world and too busy, and I'm going to watch them one fight at a time. You know, normally I would watch all the fights to the main event. Now I just watch one at a time. You know,
Right. Right.
yes.
You can pace yourself.
I want to, you know, in closing, what's next for you, man? First of all, before I ask you that, I just want to say, man, continued blessings, man.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I have a lot of respect for you, bro. I have a like you probably don't even know. Like I have a tremendous amount of respect for you, and
Thank you, man.
solid, straight up dude, and a creative. Like I follow creatives. Like most people don't realize I was an art student, and I
Oh, I
minored.
didn't know that.
Yeah. So, you know, I sit around the house drawing. I got paintings I did on the wall. I respect the visual art in every form. And I'm trying to expand on that. You know, now that I've been in all hip hop for this long, I'm like, all right, you know, it's time to go back and do some things that I didn't fully get to do. But I just want to say, man, you know, I salute you
Thank you.
and your various incarnations, and I respect you for having a job in addition to
Yeah.
DJ and vision. You know what I mean? Because that's important. There's a lot of people who they just want to like pretend like you grown, bruh. Like get a job.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny you say that. I go back to my local high school in Mount Vernon when I can, and I try to get back to these kids and talk to them and tell them that like, don't get caught up in looking at social media and these music videos and saying, yo, I need to do that. Every millionaire is going to tell you that I got multiple streams.
Yep.
And a lot of times I'll show up with one of the things that I do, whether it be DJing or photography, and I'll show them, I'm like, this thing right here costs money. And in order to get the funding for what I'm doing, I used a job to get the funding to fund the thing that I want to do, right? So unless you take investors, which means that in that point, you're going to be indebted to the investors, not saying that it's the wrong way to do business. You could do anything you want to do on your terms. But for me, it was a no-brainer to have a job. Mind you, I'm almost 40. I need medical coverage.
Yeah.
You know, I have a child now. I'm married. So all of these things have to come into play when you talk about what your life sustainable is. I'd like to be able to go to the doctor if something happens to me, right? So having a job is not a bad thing. And I think we have to get away from that context of, man, I got a job, so that means I can't create. No, that doesn't mean that. That just means you just got to find a way to do it. Because if it's something you love, it's not really work anyway. You'll find a way to do it.
Yeah. If people don't understand, like both Grouchy Greg, my business partner, and myself had jobs, and we launched this company by having jobs. And not only that, even when we were popping, I had a job. I was working at BET. You know, I was working at full time and working at All Hip Hop full time. And, you know, so that's just something it's something that we got to get the young people. And it's hard, man. I spoke to 1,000 kids in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. It was tough. They are being trained in a different way now. So they're learning how to, they're learning what to be through a fake lens. Instagram, even filters, everything. I mean, you have face magic or whatever. You can make it skinny. You can erase, you know what I mean? Blemishes.
And life is not like that. It's in a way, it's almost teaching them like there are no mistakes, and there really sometimes it isn't any hard work. You know, and the optics is what has it like all screwed up. So any way that I could be as real as possible, and all of my social media, I don't bring anyone but myself. I hear that all the time when sometimes people meet me, if I'm at DJing somewhere, they're like, man, you're like exactly the way you are. I'm like, it's too much work for me to lie to you and stand on the couch and spend a bunch of money on champagne, but I have rent to pay. I would probably never do that anyway because it's just not wise. So like, I'm exactly what you see online, and that is who I am 100%. So I definitely appreciate the flowers while I can still smell them, man. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, when we get out of this, that Wu-Tang hoodie you got on?
This hoodie right here, yeah.
You gotta run that hoodie, bro.
I mean,
if the zombie coming out, bro. I'm coming to you. I'm trying to raid your closet, man.
you can definitely do so. I don't know if it's gonna fit. It's a sturdy medium, but
well, okay. Jokes. That would not fit my brolic. Okay. All right. Tell everybody where they can find you, what's next, everything, all those good things, man.
So I'm on Instagram as pretty much my name. It's Peter Monsanto. If you notice the spelling of my last name right there, it's Monsanto. You can find me on Instagram as well as Twitter. I didn't find the value in Twitter until recent. I kind of reignited that. So I'm back on Twitter, same handle. My website, Pete Monsanto Sound. So it's my first and last name, sound.com. You can find direct access to some of my sets on video as well as my SoundCloud. I have a Nipsey Hussle tribute that people are streaming 5 to 6 times a day. And I didn't even know until I checked the numbers on the anniversary of his death. And I'm like, oh, this thing is kind of popping. Like people are really like listening to this thing every day. So also that, and I'm just working on my content, video content, Instagram Live, also taking some things to Twitch and seeing how I could continue the conversation around the merging of the music and technology. And maybe I'll be sitting on a panel with you at South by Southwest next year talking about this very same thing.
Of course you will. Or hip hop's new digital conference platform that's coming up, but we'll keep that under wraps for now. But yeah, we're definitely gonna work, brother.
I am more than happy to. Always available for you guys.
All right, man. Thanks a lot and salute.
I appreciate it. Thank you.